Welcome to Show Up Anyway with Renee Dallow, for creative entrepreneurs, business owners, and humans navigating the messy middle of visibility, leadership, and being seen. You do not need to feel fearless to move forward. You just have to show up anyway. Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 3 of Show Up Anyway. I am your host, Renee Dallow. This week, I want to talk about something that actually has taken me a bit of time to figure out. And if I can save you any hassle, heartache, time in this way, I'd love to do so. I have recently come to the revelation, that's a big word, but it was a big adjustment for me. My Instagram and my TikTok, they're not twins, they're cousins. I think for most small business owners, the question still remains, do I need to be on both platforms? And the answer is largely going to depend on what your own personal relationship with creating content is, but also where your clients hang out. There are 2 different client avatars for these platforms, depending on what you do. So the truth of the matter is you might not need to be on both, but you might want to be. And if you want to be, this is an episode for you. I recently hit 52 weeks of consistent content on Instagram. So most of the time I try to post every single day. That's my preferred cadence, but that doesn't have to be yours, obviously. For the last couple of years, I have been making a deep effort on Instagram to grow my following, to put out quality content. And for me, hitting that 52-week mark finally after 3 years, because there was always a week that would take me out. One year I had COVID. The second year, I think I was stuck traveling somewhere. Something happened every other year that prohibited me from getting to that 52-week mark. Not this year. Not this year. And baby, you can't tell me not then. I'm on 53 weeks now. I'm going for 104. Okay. That's Instagram. My relationship with TikTok is very different. I am a consumer mostly on TikTok, even though I have an account at the Renee Dallow. Up until maybe this episode, I haven't made the same kind of effort that I've made on Instagram. That's just the truth. I first got on TikTok in 2020, like we all did during the pandemic, and people were dancing and people were being silly, and I ate it up. But I did not create content for TikTok. Not really. Not with any sort of focus or energy. And really, I've just been thinking of TikTok as my playground, right? As my creative playground. I can do skincare over there. I can do beauty. I can do food things. I can cook. I can taste test. Right now, I'm doing a banana latte series. But my Instagram is where I talk about visibility, confidence, social media. It's where I promote myself as a public speaker. Right now, all of my business on Instagram. And it seems to me like most of my life is on TikTok. As we all know, the platforms are quite different. Even though their main bread and butter is video content, the vibe, for lack of a better word, of each platform is very different. So on Instagram, we're more buttoned up, we're more polished, things are more scripted in a way. It's more business forward. And depending on how long you've had your Instagram account, I've had my Instagram account, I think I got my first Instagram account in 2015. You likely will long history of people that follow you and that you follow. TikTok is a little bit more like the Wild West. TikTok actually prefers content that is less polished, less scripted, less buttoned up, a little more feral, to be honest. And that, by and large, for many business owners feels really challenging because you don't want to be feral, right? You don't want to be unhinged as your professional brand. However, if you want to succeed on TikTok, and by succeed, I just mean have your content be shown to the people who want to see it, there does have to be a recalibrating of the kind of content you're making. And when I say this to both my members in my community and the people that I coach one-on-one, it is almost always met with disappointment because, of course, we would like to create once and reposition it twice on both platforms. However, I've done the research. I've put in the time. I have primarily, by and large, been creating content for Instagram and then reposting it to TikTok. And I'm going to tell you, it doesn't work. My viral Instagram reel that's now at almost 2.9 million views has barely 500 views on TikTok. Didn't do anything. But TikTok that I made about 2 years ago about Italian chickens, that continues to get hits 2 years later and now it's in the thousands, not millions, but thousands. I'm always willing to experiment and see what works and what doesn't work. The freedom of TikTok is you can show more of your life and more of your humor and obviously a lot of your opinions, even your hot takes, your bite-sized hot takes that nobody cares about on Instagram probably has an audience on TikTok. The other thing about TikTok is when there is a trending topic or scandal like there is right now as I'm recording this, it takes off like wildfire. And for me, as not only a marketer, but as a coach, I just think all wedding pros need to at least be aware of what's happening on TikTok because that is where the big conversations are happening. Right now, there is a literal scandal about the Undone by Kate vendor. She is a wedding designer. I'm using very large open quotes. She is a stylist who turned designer, but she doesn't really design her own stuff. And the core issue and the complaint from the bride who initially posted is that the dresses are of very poor quality, which any wedding vendor who saw those dresses on her Instagram could have told you this, but brides don't know. So right now what's happening on TikTok is there's an initial bride who made a complaint, a 3-part series called My Wedding Dress from Hell. Then other brides who have used this vendor came in and chimed in and said, oh my God, that happened to me too. Okay. And then the third layer of this discourse is people making TikToks about the original videos. To add to it, the actual vendor, Undone by Kate, went on to her, I believe, TikTok or Instagram or both, and she posted a video basically outing herself because the original bride never said the brand's name. In fact, she was very careful not to, like very specifically didn't want to slander her. But then the vendor herself, Undone by Kate, came in and said, oh, it was me. Ma'am, what is happening? So there are many waves of content being made about this one situation on TikTok. Nobody's talking about it on Instagram. It is literally just on TikTok. So if you're not already on TikTok engaging in the WedTok community, that's what it's called, WedTok, I suggest you start now. Get in there, scroll around, see what your algorithm wants to serve you, and then you might have to, and I did have to, make a concerted effort to search for wedding material so that my algorithm knew that's what I wanted to see. One of my topics this year at Wedding MBA is WedTok, which is just a subsection of TikTok. It's not a different app. It's just what your algorithm will show you. And right now, WedTok is on fire with this Undone by Kate. I will link to it in the show notes, the initial TikTok, so you can go check it out. My new focus on TikTok is threefold, basically. It is one of my topics at Wedding MBA. I am going to make a more concerted effort posting on TikTok with consistency. Now that I've got my consistency under wraps on Instagram, I'm going over there like clockwork. Now I'm going to turn my attention to TikTok. I am also going to be doing Wedding Wednesday TikToks that focus on WedTok. What's going on WedTok? If you do nothing else, follow me on TikTok at the Renee Dallow. And if you're a wedding pro, tune in with me. Wednesdays, I'm going to go live. Get on my mailing list and I will let you know exactly what time on Wednesdays because I'm traveling a bit in the next couple of weeks. But I think it's just very important that we're all part of the conversation. Being a part of the conversation helps us learn what our clients are consuming. There is a real trust recession in the wedding industry involving vendors. By and large, what we're seeing on social media is that a lot of clients don't trust us anymore. And this dress scandal is part of it. It's indicative of it. So many people, not even people who are engaged or even shopping for a wedding dress, are hearing about this scandal. And now they're like, well, see, all the wedding industry is a scam, which, of course, if you're in the industry, you know that's not true. But TikTok is going to TikTok. TikTok is going to spread what the algorithm wants. And creators who are not even part of the wedding industry are now chiming in. So if you are on TikTok and you have not made a reaction video to Undone by Kate, do it today. Please go on TikTok, click through the link in my show notes, go watch the videos and then make your reaction video to it because there's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot to unpack in how she handled the customer and how she handles the designs. Is this even an ethical business? Is she treating her actual seamstress as well? We don't know. So there's many, many layers here. If you are a wedding planner or designer, if you're a bridal designer or a seamstress or a veil maker or you're in haberdashery, or you are a lawyer that serves the wedding industry, there's so many levels here where you can chime in and offer your expertise and your opinion so that you become a thought leader in this process. When you're looking at taking the content you already make for Instagram and repurposing it for TikTok, I'm going to tell you, in my experience, it has not been a one-to-one. It doesn't translate. Say you do a really slick, well-produced music video style recap of one of your events. If you were to post that to TikTok, it largely wouldn't get any reaction. But if you took that same video or slowed down that video a bit and put yourself talking about the event on top of it in a green screen, that would probably do better on TikTok, because TikTok rewards more personal content, looser content, and more opinion-based content. TikTok loves a walk and talk. Next time you're at an event, that you're working an event, if you walk through setup for that event and talk to your camera about what you're setting up and give a hot take or give an opinion or one piece of advice, TikTok loves that. For someone who's doing that very well on TikTok, I want you to check out The Wedding Duo. I'm going to link to them in the show notes. They are killing it on TikTok. They've been killing it on TikTok for years. Their content is very TikTok friendly. And if you look at their numbers, they're huge on TikTok. They're big on Instagram, but not so much because the platforms are different. The other thing to acknowledge about TikTok and Instagram is that your audiences probably are going to overlap a bit, but what they expect when they log on to each platform is just different. And so it's okay to serve sort of the same content, but in different ways in both platforms. In fact, it's what's expected. You can start with one core idea and then change the hook and change the format in order to post it on the other platform. I don't think you need two separate personalities. I don't think you need two completely different content strategies unless that's what you want to do. It's kind of what I'm doing because I'm trying to explore a different version of myself on TikTok, right? TikTok is where like I said, I'm doing a lot of skincare and beauty, which I care about so much, but doesn't really have a place on my Instagram. So for me, I am actually exploring two different sides of my personality. My Instagram and TikTok, they're not twins. And I don't think anyone's platform should be twins. They should be cousins. They absolutely should be cousins. Instagram is my business casual self, and my TikTok is like the cousin who drinks a little bit too much at brunch and like tells a funny story. That's the difference for me. But that's also what I would like to encourage you to think about them as. If you're not on TikTok at all, you do need to be on TikTok just to know what WedTok is talking about. And if you're coming to Wedding MBA, we're going to get into a deep dive on what that is and how we can use that information in order to make great, amazing decisions for our businesses. If you're already on TikTok, but you're mostly consuming, I'm going to be guilty and raise my little hand about that. I'm going to encourage you to create more feral content, whatever that means for you. Feral within reason, right? But you're still fine to show your face at brunch with your friends. If you're on TikTok already and you're killing it, but you're ignoring Instagram, you know what to do. Repurpose that same piece of content for Instagram. And if you're wondering, how do you do that? Well, depending on how you're editing, I do all my editing right now in the Edits by Meta app. You go into that one piece of content, you duplicate it, and you re-edit it. Does it take a little more time? Yes, but you're not reinventing the wheel. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from a finished product already. Should be much easier for you to do. If you're listening to the sound of my voice and when I said the word edit, you were filled with a dread, like a chill in your body because you hate editing or you don't know how to edit, that is why I started the Verb and Vision Club, my community and membership for creative entrepreneurs. We have an entire editing library for you that teaches you how to edit 5-minute videos at a time. Some of them are even 2 minutes long. Editing is not hard. The only reason it's hard for you is because you haven't done it enough yet. I will die on this hill. 4 years ago, I couldn't edit anything. Now I'm editing like a lunatic. I am such a good editor now because I do it multiple times a week. So please do not let that lack of knowledge stop you. That's just a little information gap you need to get across. It's not the end of the world. My question for you is this, and it doesn't have to be just TikTok and Instagram, but that's where my brain went with this. My question for you is, where are you forcing your content to be twins when they should be cousins? It could be TikTok and Instagram. It could be YouTube and Instagram. It could be LinkedIn and Facebook, whatever platforms you're on. Are you thinking about them as twins when you should be thinking about them as cousins? It's food for thought, but it's great food for thought because we're out here trying to market our businesses, especially in this time of year. Late summer is a tough time to market. And I want to make sure that you are putting your efforts where they should be and putting your efforts in a way that's going to get results. And by that, I mean this. Of course, it's easier just to edit once and post it twice. But if it's not getting any traction on that secondary platform, wouldn't it be smarter to spend another 10, 15 minutes with a re-edit to then post on a channel where it gets an audience? I think the answer is yes. I'd love to know your comments below if you're listening on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or on my email list. Just reply to my email and let me know. Always lovely to hear your thoughts. You can also DM me at Renee Dallo on Instagram, but TikTok is where my focus is going to be in August, both in my membership, the Verve and Vision Club, and in my real life. So if you want to follow along on this TikTok ride, follow me at on TikTok. I'll see you next week, friends. Same time, same place. And until then, keep showing up anyway.